My no spend January is over, but I have some big news. I'm going to be taking on a full year no buy challenge for 2025. In this video, I'm going to share about my January progress, what I've learned, and why I'm recommitting to this no buy challenge for the rest of 2025. I decided to commit to a low spend January month to just challenge myself in my budgeting and saving money, because since I've been tracking my spending and tracking my budget, I've realized that I have been consistently overspending what I make, meaning that I have to dip into my savings in order to just make ends meet at the end of the month. And I know that doing that is setting my future self up for failure. I have significantly drained my quote-unquote emergency fund in the first year of being in my house. I've spent over half of it now. I've got less than 2 months worth of savings left in there, which makes me feel in honestly a really vulnerable position, because if something major were to go wrong with the house, or if I lost my job, or if my car stopped working, I don't know how I would shoulder that burden, because I just don't have that safety net anymore. And that is the major reason why I am recommitting to the no spend challenge for the rest of the year, even though it feels really scary. I know that really honing in on my spending and controlling my spending is the only way that I'm going to be able to put away money and save for my rainy day fund, and just have space in my life for the things that I really want and value, as opposed to every random thought that comes into my head, or every random thing that I'm being marketed to through the various social media apps. Let's do a recap of January. Talk about the things that went well, as well as some of the things that were more struggling points for me. So yeah, I am really proud of the progress that I had in January. I was mostly able to keep to the things that were on my no spend. If you are a new viewer here and you didn't see the video that I did at the beginning of January, I can quickly share some of the things from my no spend. But so the things that I was challenging myself to do in January for my no spend was no spend on clothes, home decor, any sort of like extra personal care expenses, out of the basic things. So like no like luxuries like manicures, pedicures, etc. No dining out, no like restaurant food, no packaged snacks, no like fancy beverages, so no juice, cans of sparkling water, buying alcohol, like just like no takeout, no restaurant food. So basically everything that's not the bare necessities of food that I cook at home, or gas for my car, or paying bills, or buying groceries, was on the no list, pretty much. So it was a very small list of things with a few small exceptions. So I did say that one of my values was to spend on experiences and not things. I did do a family trip to Coastside, and I did spend a little bit of money, mostly extra food, in order to host a birthday party at my house. So those were the two kind of big experience things that I did spend on. And mostly other than that, I was pretty good. I am proud because this no buy challenge is also sort of lining up with my goals of wanting to build my homesteading skills. So one of the things that I challenged myself to do this month was, instead of buying packaged snacks, to make things at home. So I did bake all of my own bread for the month of January. I used a overnight no knead bread recipe from Becky from Acre Homestead, and I'm sure she has a ton of videos on how she makes her overnight no knead bread. I will try and find one and link it if anybody wants to try it. It's a super easy, like 3 ingredient recipe that for a bread baking beginner is pretty fail proof. I would like to continue to experiment in this and see if I can get into making some more like whole grain, like seedy loaf kind of breads. That's the kind of bread I would buy in the store. Down the line, I'd also be interested in learning how to do sourdough. I don't really have the skills or anything for that yet. I'm starting with very simple recipes because mainly the goal is to cook a bread for cheaper than I could buy it. But we'll see what else I can get into during this by year. And I also made some like homemade breakfast cookies. It's like an alternative to buying like breakfast bars or little like cookie packaged snacks to put in lunch boxes and stuff like that. And yeah, I just tried to make like a lot of homemade foods, and I'm pretty proud of that. I feel like that was a huge success. And even though my grocery budget is probably high compared to some families, I think I'll have to check. I think I spent about $500 on groceries, and I had allotted myself $400. I think that if I'm not buying any takeout food or any prepackaged food and I'm making everything from scratch, I might need to stretch my grocery budget just a little bit. So I'm going to look at that for February and the months going forward to see if the amount that I set myself for groceries is actually like a realistic budget that I can stick to, or if I need to adjust it a little bit. Let's see, what else went well? Oh, I got into my crafting. So I got into my crafting era, which I'm very proud of. I tried repairing one pair of pants, but I think I need to do a little bit more work on it before I'm ready to call that project complete. But I noticed that my gloves, my mittens that I was wearing every day outside in the wintertime, they were just getting really worn, like super holey. There were holes around the thumbs and around the inside of the hands where like the fingers were connected. And I thought maybe I could like stitch it back together with yarn and make them still usable, but it didn't really work the way I wanted it to. So I ended up actually just going on, YouTube University and saying, how do I crochet mittens? And this was the first mitten that I made. It actually looks like a real mitten. I'll try it on for you, but I feel like it's a little bit large, you can see. So I might unpick and unravel it a little bit and see if I can bring it together a little bit more around my fingers and make it a better fit. But I'm very proud of that. And then I made another one to match, but sort of, this was really like my practice round. I have this really pretty red yarn, I have a really pretty like red wine colored yarn that I think I would like to make like another pair of mittens out of, but I just used whatever scraps of yarn I didn't really care about to make the first pair, because it's the first time I've ever tried crocheting anything like this, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know if I was going to like it or feel like it was wearable, so I just wanted to I used just yarn scraps, so I ran out of the multicolored yarn, and so I made the cuff of this one out of a purple, which I feel like is actually a nice accent. But you can see that by the second one that I made, that is like a near perfect fit. Like that to me, I'm proud. And I have worn them out and they are warm. This one is a little bit baggy, so I am probably going to try and fix this one. But in terms of my homesteading skills and my do-it-yourself skills, like the fact that I didn't just run to Target to buy new mittens when mine were worn out, but I actually made something of my own, I feel so proud of that. That's incredible. So those are the successes. Those are the best parts of my no spend January, were the DIY things, the skills that I learned, the ways that I pushed myself. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really excited to figure out what ways I can keep that energy going into the rest of the year. Okay, any moments of struggle. So one of the things that I did to help myself along this challenge was whenever I felt really compelled to spend on something, really tempted to spend on something, or just like a really strong emotion coming up around like spending or not spending and how I was feeling with that, I just tried to journal about it. And I'm not a person who typically does like a lot of journaling. Um, so what was easiest for me was just to open up the notes app on my phone, and I have a note that says no buy challenge, and at the top of it I put all my rules for my no buy, and I just sort of put my thoughts, just random as stream of consciousness thoughts, into that notes app whenever I had like a strong emotion come up. And then reading back through those notes as I was preparing for this video, I noticed that one of the biggest triggers for me in wanting to spend or like, spend outside of the boundaries was fear. Fear, shame, guilt, feeling of lack or feeling of scarcity, feeling like I was going to be different than other people, feeling like I wasn't going to measure up. Those were the things that made me overspend. So feeling self-conscious about having an at-home birthday party instead of being able to rent a room for my little one made me feel like I needed to go spend a lot of money on decorations and food and different party favors. And luckily, I have a really supportive family and a really supportive community, and I was able to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm trying to do this party at home to save money. Is there anything that anyone has that they're not using that I could borrow? And I was able to borrow a folding table and chair, so I didn't have to buy one. People on my community's no buy group gave me decorations left over from their birthday parties. Like, I was absolutely blown away by the generosity of others and by when I was able to step into my vulnerability and say, there's something I feel comfortable with. I feel, I want to be able to provide this great experience, but I actually don't have money to spend on all this stuff. And when I was able to face that vulnerability head on, I was amazed by how well it turned out. It turned out that I didn't need to have anything fancy for my kid to have a good time on his birthday, and that people rallied around me and shared what they had, and it turned out great. Made a little homemade birthday cake and decorations, and it was cute. It was a really good time. And also on the flip side of that, towards the end of the month, as I was getting ready for a work conference, and I was trying on all of my old clothes to see what I could take for the conference, and realizing that I really didn't have anything. I didn't have any work pants or dresses or skirts or any of my pre-baby wardrobe of business attire that fit my current body. And that was, again, all those feelings: shame, guilt, lack, scarcity, not having enough, not fitting in, not being enough. That was, again, a huge trigger for me, and I sat with it for a while. I pulled out anything that I thought might work. I hung the clothes up on the front of my closet so I could look at them every day, and I could imagine what outfits I was going to wear when the conference came up. And when it came down to it, I actually did spend a little bit of money. I realized that I'm going to spare you this very long justification of why I felt like I needed to buy pants. Clearly, I was feeling self-conscious about it, which is why I felt I needed to say so much. So the one clothing expense that I did have, one cheap expense that I did have, was $80 to thread up for some linen pants, and I will own that. I gave you probably a way too long justification of why I felt like I needed to buy the pants, But in terms of challenges and lessons learned, what I did learn is that I am very much of an emotional spender, and that those feelings of like shame or guilt are huge triggers for me. And if I lean into my vulnerability and I'm honest and I reach out to my community for help, I usually can get what I need without spending. And if I feel too ashamed to do that, I usually will be tempted to spend money. So, two examples of how that showed up for me this month. If that's something that you can relate with, if you're also trying to do a no buy and clothes are a thing that you would normally spend on, maybe think about at the beginning of your no buy going through all of your clothes and doing like an inventory and declutter so that you can have like an actual list of what things you do have already, what things you might need to replace soon, and what things are like holes in your current wardrobe, so that when an event does come up that you feel like you need an outfit for, you can go back to that list and say, oh, actually, I do have 2 outfits that I could wear to a wedding or a baby shower or whatever. Or you could say, actually, when I did my clothing inventory, it looks like I don't have any spring fancy dresses, and maybe it does make sense for me to go thrift one. And I think doing that work up front will help combat that emotional, oh my God, I have nothing to wear, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna go swipe my card kind of feeling. So those are my challenges, those are my lessons learned, that's my advice to you. Start with a declutter and keep a really solid list. I also have a list, I don't have it here in front of me, but I'm gonna pretend I do. I also keep a list of wants and needs. So if I feel compelled to buy something, like really strongly, like I feel like I need this thing, I will go to my list, and one column is wants, one column is needs, and I will write the thing down on my list wherever I feel like it falls. Wants, I really, really, really want new blinds for my living room window, whatever the thing is. Need, I have holes in my shoes and I really, really need to buy new hiking shoes. So I will put that down on the list and I will not buy it immediately. I think that one of the ways I can help myself, and it might also be helpful to you, is if I think anything, a new feeling comes up of something I feel like I need that wasn't already on the list, I will add it to the list and I will do a 48-hour rule where I have to sit and think about it for 48 hours. I have to go look at my budget to see if the money is actually there for me to spend on that. And usually, if I wait the 48 hours, I will find that that strong sense of need that I had in the moment did not come up again in 48 hours. So maybe it was the thing I felt like I wanted, but the need wasn't actually as strong as like I thought it was to need it exactly right here in this exact moment. Maybe I actually could wait. Maybe I don't have $200 for a new pair of shoes right now, and maybe that is something that I should save up for if it is a true need. Or if 3 more days went by and I hadn't thought about it since the time I wrote it down, maybe that's not a need at all. Maybe I should move that over to the wants column. So yeah, that's what I have for challenges and lessons learned. In terms of like mindset or habit, I have been really trying to filter what I'm consuming on social media. If I start down a rabbit hole of watching videos or something of somebody shopping or talking about things that they're buying, and it's starting to make me feel like I want to buy those things, I will stop watching those videos and I will try to consume content around conscious spending, mindful spending, follow other people who are doing no-buy journeys. I did find a new creator, well, she's not new, but new to me, creator who has vlogged an entire year of a no buy that she did in 2024, and watching her monthly recaps has been it's been just affirming. It's been sort of like, oh, okay, so these things that I'm feeling, like, they're not new, they're not like totally unique feelings, like other people have these feelings too. um, so that I think has been a really good habit that has worked for me, which is shifting the content that I'm consuming, so that the things that I'm watching are not encouraging me to spend more money. And um, in terms of habits, the best habit I think is journaling and just mindfulness. Like, I know it sounds like simple and kind of boring, but if I am having a strong urge to spend, or a strong feeling about the no buy challenge, writing it down on my notes app has been really helpful for me. It's been really helpful for me to just go back and scroll through and be like, oh, these were all the things that I was worried about. And 3 weeks later, like, I'm not even thinking about that anymore. Like, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. And like, just recognizing that, like, once you get past that really strong emotion in the moment, usually you'll find that, like, you're okay. And like, you don't really need that thing that you thought that you needed really, really bad, anymore. And for things that you do need, I mean, you can write it. You can also do a list of wants and needs, like I have been doing, and just sort of like, I don't know. I find that fun personally. I find keeping a running list of things that I want kind of fun, because it feels like, even though I'm not like buying and shopping for it, like, there's something really cute that I see, and or like something for the house that I really want, and like, there's this feeling like, oh, but like, I'm gonna forget about it. Like, you won't. If you actually need it, you won't forget about it. Um, but just to like take back sort of the feeling of like restrictiveness or scarcity, and just sort of like build towards like a healthy money mindset, is like, it's not that I can never have these things. It's not that I can never have nice things. It's that not that I will never be able to buy, you know, cute garden beds for my garden and little archways and whatever it is that I want. Like, I just am not buying it right now. I'm not buying it right now because right now there's no money for it. Going back to my why of why I'm doing my no buy challenge, the fact that I want to have stability in my home and in my life, and have that security of knowing that I'm gonna be able to continue to support myself in this lifestyle. Um, those have been the habits that have really worked for me. Sort of that like quick journal notation, and if you have an iPhone and you have the Notes app, you can even just like open your microphone and talk into it, and you can just like record your, like, use like the audio function, and it will just like type out what you're saying. So like, if even writing is like too much energy, too much thought, and you can't do that, just like speak it. It doesn't have to be like perfectly beautifully written out. Nobody's going to see it. It's notes for yourself. It's just your own personal thoughts. So I think that those are habits that I want to carry with me into my no buy year. The journaling, filtering the content that I'm consuming, so consuming content that is not going to encourage me to spend, and then keeping a dream list, saying, it's not that I can never enjoy good things in my life. I'm just putting it aside for now, and just allowing that to be part of the dream, not necessarily saying I can't have it, I could never have it, just allowing it to be part of the dream, setting it aside, and then focusing on the task at hand. Oh, and also I would say getting involved in hobbies using your hands, so things that are not scrolling or watching content online, things that are like physical, so like the thread baking, the knitting, and then I'm hoping to get into sewing. So physical, hands-on hobbies to fill your time will help distract you from wanting to spend. So that's what I got in terms of habits and mindset. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we're gonna pause for now, and I will come back to you later on. curious, if you are planning to do a no-buy challenge for this year, tell me, what is your biggest goal or your biggest reason why you're interested in doing a no-buy challenge? And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, more things about budgeting, DIY home and garden projects, mindful spending, be sure to subscribe so you can see more videos from me. In the very near future, I will be sharing more starting seeds for my vegetable garden. So if you are interested in more gardening content, stay tuned for that. That will likely be next week or in 2 weeks after this. Thank you, and I appreciate you so much for watching. Again, my name is Raina, and I hope that I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.